Sit down, sir. Hello, everybody, again. And Mohammed, it's just wonderful to have you here today. 2024, of course, was a year of sweeping political shifts across the world, from elections reshaping power dynamics to mass uprisings demanding change. And while Donald Trump's election clearly dominates, few transformations have been as stark or as consequential as what has unfolded in Bangladesh, a country that now, I think it's fair to say, stands at a crossroads. The task of stabilizing the nation and steering it towards free and fair elections has fallen, Mohammed, to you. Mohammed, Yunus is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate, global champion of microfinance. You and I have been talking about the work that you have done over the past, 25 years, I guess, the first time that I spoke to you, and a man known as the banker of the poor. Your vision has lifted millions out of poverty, and now as chief advisor of this caretaker government, you face quite significant challenges in rebuilding public trust, reviving the economy, and ensuring a peaceful transition of power. Any regrets in taking on this role?
No regret, but it's a big task. I was not ready for that. That's not what I was looking for. Good to see you, Becky, again. And I was concentrating on my work, as I do, on the issues, microcredit, social business, how to transform the economy completely, overhaul the things. In a way, it changes the perspective of the entire world. So while I was doing this, I was designing the Paris Olympic as a social business Olympic, so that it's good for people. It's not just entertainment and so on. And they are very happy to work together to design that. So I was in Paris. I was called back from home that you come back home because this is something happened. You have to take the responsibility of the government.
It wasn't just something that happened. The students had hit the streets.
Absolutely.
And they had demanded your return.
Amazing.
Sir.
The students came up, offered their bodies, and said, they shoot us as many as you want, but we are not going away. You have to leave the country. We have to leave it to the people who deserve to better. And so there's a tremendous outburst against the government. And the students won. The Prime Minister, the previous Prime Minister, she left the country. At that point, I was called to come in to take the responsibility. That's how I got involved with that.
The ousting of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, of course, has happened. And there is a palpable anger among the people over the Hasina regime, particularly after some pretty inflammatory remarks from her. Demonstrators just last week attacking her home, or certainly the historic home of her father. How do you mitigate that anger in the short, medium and long term? And can you just talk about the challenges that you do face at present?
The first challenge, obviously, is to bring law and order, because the whole country was up in flame, to get her out of the country, so that they can take control of the country from her. Because it's a devastated country. She never held an election for 15, 16 years. She was ruling the country without election. She had fake elections without any voters and so on. Destroyed the economy, destroyed the banking system, and a series of everything. So the people rebelled against it, and that's how it happened. So our first job is to make sure the law and order is established. And then next job is to rebuild the economy, rebuild the society, rebuild the institutions which are completely failed. So this is the process we are going through. In order to do that, we have to go through a process of reforms. So we have created 15 different reforms commissions, one in law and order, one in police administration, and the question of constitutional reform, question of election procedure reforms, and so on. So there are 15 of them. They're reporting back with the suggestions, their recommendations, what needs to be done. So now we have what we call consensus building commission, so that we go to the political parties and so on, see which are the recommendations all agree, so that we take that as a charter and then implement that and hold an election. Election will be held as early as probably December of this year.
Any intention to continue in a leadership position through those elections and beyond? You were called back for this. You said it wasn't a role that you were looking at.
I still not the one to look at. I made it very clear. When my job is done, hand over the responsibility to the elected government. I go back to what I enjoy doing most. And, this is what I've dedicated my life. I want to continue with that.
Can you just explain the main economic challenges that Bangladesh faces at present? What have you identified? And you've talked about the progress, not least in announcing plans for elections to be held in late 2025 or early 2026. What are the sort of fundamental issues that you need to work on with regard to the economy?
When you have an earthquake, everything falls apart, everything gone. So after the earthquake, you try to take brick by brick, build it again. This is our situation. The economy, society, administration, everything fell apart. So our job is to rebuild piece by piece. To give an example, the banking system. Banking system was kind of completely collapsed. $16 billion were taken away from the banking system.
Stolen
from the banking system. And in total, there are $17 billion per year, which has been shifted away from Bangladesh by over-invoicing, under-invoicing, and all kinds of corrupt practices and so on. So the banking system is on the verge of collapse. Our economy is on the verge of collapse, and we have to rebuild those things. Our international reserve situation fell to the deepest point. So we have to rebuild that on the economic side. And people have to continue with life so that they can survive with that. So economy is number one, law and order is another one, and then build the institutions, schooling, educations, and everything else.
It's an exhausting process. You also placed in what was your inaugural address to investigate alleged human rights violations, enforce disappearances from the prior regime. You've also called for the extradition of Sheikh Hasina. What progress has been made in these investigations? Has India responded to your request for extradition? I mean, what are you doing to address the need for national reconciliation amongst the people while ensuring justice for victims?
One, I'm very happy, feel very relieved that the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights published just a report on Bangladesh, documenting everything I just said about the killing, about the disappearance of people, torture chambers, how students were shot by the police and army under the order of the Prime Minister. So they vividly recorded that. So we don't have to go and tell the public and the world that, look, we are saying that these are all fabricated. So we have a United Nations document on that. So that's a relief. We have to start rebuilding those faults that we have in the system so that it doesn't repeat that. So this is one of the things that we want to make sure. And the other things are broad international support that we got from everywhere. Everybody wanted to support that, to rebuild. We say we want to build a new Bangladesh. The old Bangladesh is completely corrupt. It's a corruption-ridden, billions of dollars taken away. We are trying to get this money back. It's a very complicated procedure.
That support, Mohammed, was a lot to do with you being in this caretaker position, it has to be said. I've spoken to enough people around the world who have sort of backed you to try and get this job done. So you know, you should be applauded for the role that you have. In your book, A World of Three
They are
Zeros,
very kind of them. Pay attention to my appeal to them.
And it's the work that you and I have been talking about for years in microfinance, and the work that you've won a Nobel Peace Prize for that counts. You present in your book, and we've only got a couple of minutes, and I just want our audience to hear this, A World of Three Zeros. You present a new economic outlook based on an altruistic sort of sense, a world without poverty, unemployment, and carbon emissions. Since the publication of that book, the world has changed. We have a new president in the United States who has adopted a much more isolationist approach. Do you believe that the world is on a path towards an economy that serves or better serves human needs at present?
I am totally convinced it's possible. It's possible because we want it. Each one of us want it. Since we want it, we have to bring it out from us to make it happen. I say we do business to make money. That's understood all over the world, maximization of profit. I said you do that. And then on the side you have the charity. You give away money. I said there's a third way. This was missing. So I wanted to install the third one. I call it social business. Business to solve human problems without any intention of making money. If you can give away money, I said, why don't you just invest? Make it as a business. Business to solve the problem, like healthcare problem. Healthcare problem can be done in a way, sustainable way, so that you are not doing this health business to make money, but to solve the problem of the people. I raised this question in Corona time, saying all the vaccines that are coming out, this should be done in pharmaceutical companies as a social business, so that you cover your cost, but people get it cheap. So if you want to maximize your profit even on the vaccine, then your attention is very different. You make billions of dollars, but many people die on the way.
This is altruistic. Is it also slightly naive?
It's not naive. People say, will people be interested in that? I said, of course they will be interested. And how come? I said, yes, making money may be happiness. Making other people happy is a super happiness. You do it, you feel happy. This happiness that matters. It's not about something else. So I said there's plenty of technology in the world, plenty of creative ideas in the world, but we're not using it for solving the problems of the people. All kinds of problems people suffer. So why don't you create businesses, like I mentioned, healthcare, education, technology, and many other things.
Are you baking that into your economic vision finally for Bangladesh and new Bangladesh going forward?
Gradually trying to set it up in the education system, so that in the education system we're trying to encourage young people. First decide what you want to be. Then you learn in this. If you don't have what you want to be, then you become a job seeker. You work for somebody else. And that's the end of your story.
It's an absolute pleasure.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a long time. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you very much indeed. Mohammed Yunus for you today.
Thank you.
রেমিটেন্স যোদ্ধাদের ঢাকায় বিশেষ ছাড়ে রেডি ফ্ল্যাট দিচ্ছে শতভাগ বিশ্বস্ত ও নির্ভরযোগ্য প্রতিষ্ঠান প্রবাসীর সিটি।